this next segment is going to be the hardest sport to play. So we're going to have a little bit of debate, we're going to have a discussion, and really get into the nitty-gritty of stuff.
Okay, so I want to introduce our guest, Willie Keeler. Willie and I went to elementary school way back in the day. He lives in Pittsburgh now, went to UP, and he's been doing a little bit of sports writing. So how's it going? Tell us a little bit about your writing.
Yeah, so it's been pretty awesome. So I'm writing for 12th Man Rising. Currently, Seattle Seahawks blog website for Fansided. So they're at 12th Man Rising on Twitter. I'm at WTKeeler24 on Twitter. So give my stuff a look.
What do you guys think the hardest sport to play and probably to sustain? Ready? You want to go first?
Yeah, I'm basing a lot of this on my personal experience, right? So I played baseball in college, played soccer for a lot of my life. I've gotten into basketball thanks to the help of Drew, who helped me play intramurals and for fun during college. But besides those, I don't have a lot of experience outside. I never played football, so I can't really speak for all the football athletes. All I can say is soccer is the most tiring. That's going to make me sweat the most at the end of the day. But I think in terms of hand-eye coordination and just scientific wise, I think baseball is still the hardest sport to play. Baseball and softball, highly underrated. I'm just going to throw out some numbers. So a 90-mile-per-hour fastball, which is not even that fast in the big leagues, takes about 0.4 seconds to reach home plate, right? And then a blink of an eye is basically the same amount of time. So you can't blink, otherwise you miss it. That's kind of the whole point, right? But I'm just reading some from sports science, all the ESPN and all this analytical things, but it takes about 0.1 seconds for the hitter to locate the ball, which means it would already go 12 feet, and then the batter takes 0.07 seconds to calculate the speed, spin, and trajectory, and then it takes the batter 0.017 seconds for the brain and body to work together to swing, and then you need to consider you're also trying to hit something round with a round surface. It just makes things even more complicated. Yeah. But then also people forget about the fielding side. If you're also trying to field a 90-mile-per-hour ground ball, you only have 0.4 seconds also almost. Or let me actually a little bit more because it's 90, depending on whatever. It's almost 0.8 or 1 second maybe. But that's still not a lot of time to react, to catch the ball, and then make an accurate throw across a diamond.
Yeah. I think
but that's my take.
Another side question that I have is, wouldn't you say that I feel catching a fly ball is the most pros make it look easy thing in the world. It's when you start playing older baseball, when you're getting into 12, 13 and you people start hitting fly balls and you playing fly balls and stuff. Dude, it's so hard. But then in the pros, they just make it look like they just walk under it and they just know where it's going off the bat. It makes no sense. Even now, I'll play softball with my friends. And even then, it's not that bad. Kind of if you can track it down on the catch, it's not that bad to catch it. But just, immediate baseball players just immediately know where the ball's going. And then it's just it's so hard to you have to figure it out and run it down. It's so hard. I think that's the one I would think of pros make it look so pros make it look so easy because anyone can understand hitting a ball is just impossible.
Yeah,
they don't make that look very easy.
Yeah,
the best players only get hits 30% of the time.
Exactly. Yeah. Drew, you're a former Little League All-Star. What's your take on baseball?
Oh yeah, it's definitely tough. I think. I didn't even go to high school to play, so I did basketball. But I think so. Before, I want to preface that every sport is tough in its own self.
That's
but I think so. I haven't played these sports. I kind of just did some research on it, and I'm gonna throw out some of them, and then I want to see your guys' take on it. So ice hockey. I think this is a tough sport because one, you guys got huge guys coming at you, trying to kill you in a sense, trying to take the puck. And I think the puck is only about, it's the smallest thing. And I've tried skating before and I'm just terrible at it. So I think, I think that's one of the tougher sports to play just because it involves so much agility, strength, and endurance in the sense that you have to also look out for your well-being, and it's tough to skate. I also think rugby is a pretty tough game. I know I have a few cousins, so some of my cousins are from Malaysia, so they had experience with rugby, and they told me about, like, I guess you can't throw the ball. I guess you don't. There's like no stoppage, unlike football. So when the ball gets on the ground, there's like a scrum, and they come together, and then they're just like trying to get the ball, but there's no paddings, and I guess you can't throw it vertically. You have to throw it behind you and get ahead of you. So it really, you have to be fast, and there's no. I mean, you have to run into. You have to go straight into people.
And on top of that, you have to learn how to kick a rugby ball.
Exactly.
And that's it's not just a perfectly circular soccer ball. It's like a football, but also kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but like it takes some skill to play rugby too.
I think that's funny too about, like, you guys probably can't relate to, and I think it's funny, like you say you're bad at skating. I've never been ice skating before, or maybe I'd gone like once or twice, and like I was just like little and just not good at it. And then I got to Pittsburgh, and I remember it's like one of those things where people are just like, "You don't know how to ice skate?" And I was like, "No, like I don't know. I can't even say there was an ice skating rink in Seattle." I think we went like, I literally think we went like once. Because like my mom used to be an ice skater, she loved it. Like my dad didn't know how to ice skate, and like we went to like some place. It was like some place in like Everett or something like that. It was some, like, ice place, and it was like, and it's like then here there's just ice skating rinks everywhere, and everyone goes during like the winter. It's like every group of friends, like every winter probably.
Right.
It was like, or it could be like a school field trip, and like it's always ice skating.
Oh.
But yeah, I think that's interesting. I think that's like the only sport where there's like a barrier to entry. The fact that like you have to learn how to do, like, unlike swimming, you like what you're learning to do in terms of swimming is the sport. But like ice hockey, you have to like learn how to skate, and then you can play the sport and learn how to like shoot and the strategy and stuff like that. Like, like I think that's like kind of interesting.
That's interesting that you say that for Pittsburgh. I feel like if I get older, or like when I get older and I'm like, I want to get into hockey, like I feel like you kind of need to know that at a young age, like you said. So that is interesting. And it's funny how like in Pittsburgh you learn that like right when you're able to walk, but then in Seattle,
pretty
you
much,
have it like once a season, maybe at the Seattle Mariners Safeco Field. But
I mean,
this brings
up a good point of, geographical, influences, cultural influences, and, sports team influences. There's no, I mean, until 2021, 2022, there wasn't a pro NHL team in Seattle, in Washington. So of course hockey's not very popular, but in Pittsburgh, you have Sidney Crosby and Penguins. Of course, it's going to be popular. Or if you go to Canada, hockey's like one of their most popular sports. So that has a huge influence. And I wouldn't be surprised if like basketball gets less and less popular because there's no Sonics. Like, I don't know if that's true or not, but like, I'm sure if you go to, I don't know, some random state where they don't have a specific sports team, I'm sure that sport's not as popular,
Yeah, I think what I would say about that is I think basketball is the ease of use, or it's very easy to play. I think if you can just have a ball, you can dribble, and you can make kind of your makeshift hoop. I think for hockey, it's tough because you need to have all those variables.
You can't really replicate ice hockey. Yeah.
So I don't know. And then it's just like all of like the gear that they wear. I don't know. I don't know if I would want to be that the goalie. I just another sport that I want to talk about is gymnastics. I think this is
pretty hard.
Yeah. I mean, when I was younger, I would go to some of the Washington gymnastics tournaments that they had, and I don't know. I think, and then just watching on the U.S. Olympic team, I think what they do is crazy. It's insane.
It's one of those sports like we can't just go out there and do something. Like I can't just go out there like right now and do a floor routine or go on those balance bars. Like I couldn't do anything. But like I could go and you're right. Like I could go shoot a hoop and grab a basketball and play basketball. I could go golf right now and be okay. But gymnastics is something I'll never be able to do unless I put 3 or 4 years into it and get flexible like I was like 10 years ago. So yeah.
UFC. That's always like my favorite thing is like UFC. How like they're gauged on like how good of a fight it was by like oh yeah, like the guy went to the hospital afterwards. Like the guy who won. or like you'll always hear like so and so tore their ACL like
Yeah.
during their fight and then like went all 3 rounds. Like it's just like hilarious to me, the UFC.
It's another breed. It's definitely a different breed for that sport.
Mm-hmm.
But like also like boxing, I feel like, because how long are boxing matches?
They
Isn't
can
that
they can be really long,
yeah.
but
Yeah,
they're also really
I feel
short.
like you just got to get like your endurance up, and then I feel like train. Like
Mhm.
that's the thing. Like UFC and boxing, it's just like no one wants to do it. But like I feel like if you train, that's like one of those ones where like you have like your like friendly debates, just like one Friday night when you're in quarantine, a few too many drinks and you and your boys start arguing, and it's like when the guy says like, "Dude, I think I could be a UFC fighter. I could be a boxer. Just give me like 6 months to train."
Mm.
So I feel like might actually be true. I don't know.
You definitely can go to the gym and just, I mean, train. You have to train your like for months and months and months, but
Yeah, I mean, you have to be really fit and like their reactions.
oh yeah.
I think that's like one of the main things they have to practice, and I feel like it's not as much strategy; it's more like technique, right? For
Mhm.
boxing and
Yeah, no, yeah.
UFC, obviously
UFC is a lot of
athleticism.
strategy. Boxing, I think, is more technique. And
Yeah,
but like UFC, there's always just like strategies because you can do boxing. I mean, you can really only do like body and head, but UFC, there's like a million different things you
yeah,
can do, mixed
takedowns
martial
and
arts and everything.
choke whatever,
Exactly. Yeah.
and yeah.
That's actually
Yeah.
that's a good yeah. I didn't think about that
Um,
until
I think like getting back to the original question, I had
Mhm.
two sort of answers for like the hardest sport. I thought like professionally, I think it's
Mhm.
undoubtedly baseball. Like there's just the career length in baseball is like average. It's got to be something just like half a season because there's just so many guys that make like pitchers who make like 3 bullpen appearances. I mean, just like thinking about the Seahawks,
The
thinking about like
Mariners.
the Mariners and the Pirates. Like the Mariners had like a record amount of pitchers last year, something like that. They had like something like 48 guys throw a pitch last year. And then like the Pirates, there's just so many random guys that either got like cut or just aren't going to be like they're just AAA guys that just kind of
Mhm.
came up last year. And so like it's just impossible to stay in the pros. And then there's just the things like it's just so hard to hit like everyone like this what's the old guy saying like the hardest thing in sports is to hit a baseball.
Mhm.
But like I can't even imagine. But then non-professionally, just like for us, hardest sport just like to go out there and play golf. Oh my god, it's so frustrating. It's impossible just like to be good at golf, like good enough.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
just be like good that like you're like barely have a handicap and you're just kind of like going out to like a Joe Schmo course. Like we have like a public course. I know there's public courses, like just to be able to get like a par is like an accomplishment.
Mhm.
Like par for like professionals is just like got a par, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is on like like the Pebble Beach. Like this is like the best courses in the world. Like the
Mhm.
winds at like 30 miles an hour. It's
Mhm.
like that's like my public course with like no sand traps,
Mhm.
like near my house. And like there's no par five. And like I'll get like a 6 on like a par 4, and I'll 3 putt, and I'll be like, oh, it's pretty good.
Mhm.
Like golf, dude. Oh my god, it's just so hard,
Yeah.
so hard.
When I lived at Roosevelt, I would go. I think it would be Jackson I went to for golf, and I was just so bad. There would be times where I would like, okay, we just won't count this hole because at that point it's like
Mhm.
14 strokes.
Yeah.
What's the point?
Yeah. I think
But
people
that is true.
like we've all played golf, so like we get it. But like, I think for people who've never like actually went to a golf course and played, and I've only went to driving range or maybe played baseball for 1 year, like they don't understand how hard. I think baseball and golf are actually both underrated in terms of difficulty. Like being good at it is so difficult, and I think people
Mm-hmm.
don't realize it until they've done it. Like we see
I
so many
think,
people say, "Oh, baseball's easy," but you've never played it, so it's hard to say.
yeah, I do think baseball does get the respect though. I do think people do think it's hard.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Just from like what I've like been talking with, like I've been talking with like some other people, and I do
Hmm.
think they realize it is hard because I mean, just getting hit by like an 80-mile-an-hour ball hurts, and then you have to go back in, and the pitcher's going to pitch you inside.
Hmm.
Like that takes some
Yeah.
straight confidence and fear.
Hmm.
I mean, but
I
Thanks,
think my
Drew.
I
favorite.
mean, yeah.
my favorite thing too, like in terms of like athletes, is like like gauging how athletic they are. Is like I remember there's just always stuff you hear about like there's a famous story of how like Ray Allen, something like Ray Allen went to Mariners like batting practice one day, just like because he's throwing out the first pitch, something like that. So he's taking BP, and he could like he had like he got some like grounders, but like he couldn't hit a ball like hard. And he got like 30 pitches, something like that. And then on the 30th one, he hit a ball like 430 feet or something like that. And then like, and then I think there was like a reverse story where then like Ichiro went to like a Sonics game or something like that, and then he was just like nasty, like he was just like hitting threes or something like that. It was just like funny. So like a total like how athletes do it. But like the way to gauge a guy's athleticism is like LeBron will like I mean we've seen like LeBron like that famous like charity football thing against KD when he just is just unbelievably unstoppable. And, like he was like taking batting practice like the Indians and like that, just hitting dingers. I remember JJ Watt had one where he hit batting practice with the Astros. He got 10 pitches and he hit like 8 of them out of the park, something like that. Like so you know the guys athletic like, when they can play baseball because like they can play basketball and they can play football, but like if they can play baseball, they really know a guy that really.
You know what this reminds me of is when you were talking about just like other athletes going in is Michael Jordan for when he went to the White Sox for a year, and it's funny because the GM was like, we have the best basketball player to like ever live, and we can't put him down to like single A because of the capacity. So then they're like, okay, we'll bring him up to double A. And then he was doing good. He was hitting. He was like, I think he had like a 16-game hitting streak. And then pitchers started to throw the off-speed pitch. And then that's when he derailed. Because everybody was throwing him fastballs, you know?
Dance.
Yeah, exactly.
On the Last Dance, it was so funny. They were like, yeah, MJ had like a 16-game hitting streak. And then they started throwing him curveballs. And then that's when it went south. But like, no, but then they also said this on The Last Dance is like, think about how amazing that is. It's like, and I think this is where you realize that like baseball doesn't get its respect. Think about how amazing it is that people train their entire lives to like get to the pros, and that one of those stepping stones, like the second highest stepping stone, is double A. So like there's guys in there that are working their behinds off, trying to become, you know, just trying to get to the MLB, and they're in double A, and he hit 200. Like that's not bad. Like all things considered, like they said, they couldn't send him down to single A, so he's in double A. But like at single A, he probably would have done a little bit better. But just like he had like a not like he was bad, but like I mean, there's guys in the pros who hit like 200 and his OPS is something like 600. Like that happens with guys. But like it's just like amazing, like how athletic MJ was. And I just love that. But like no, but like that is like I think baseball gets that respect because you heard people say like how amazing it was that you could still even hit 200.
What are your thoughts on how difficult basketball is?
Oh, I think it is difficult. I think okay, yeah. I mean, it might not be up with baseball, but when I played in high school, I thought that game was quick. Like it's like you really have to be fit, and you have to you dribbling it. I mean, the ball has to go in the basket, and I think it kind of gets, I don't know, when you're comparing it to these sports right now, it might not look as difficult, but I mean, it's a lot. There's a lot of quick motions happening, and I can't even fathom like the NBA and how fast that game plays. Maybe if I had courtside seats, I could probably see the quickness, but like once you really get into it and see how fast these guys are going, like I know in practice back in high school, I was going up against Cam Haslam, who then played for Chapman, but like I couldn't keep him in front of me just because he was so quick, and he like his first step was insane because you really need to have that. And then it's just like, I mean, you're shooting a basketball into a hoop like for 3-pointers, and then like I don't know, it every sport's hard, but I don't know. I think when I play it, I think I would kind of like want to boast it up in a sense because I'm like, oh, I played this like super tough sport, you know. But like at the end of the day, you kind of have to like look into it and like we talked about, like I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just
Also, really
rambling
for
on
some
now.
context, so when Drew and I play like just basketball for fun, like in college, Drew's like one of the best players, like probably at school. So to put into respect, like for me, it's hard to guard Drew, and it's harder for Drew to guard a D3 college basketball player who's 1 year older than
Yeah.
us. Like I think that says a lot
Yeah.
about how difficult.
No,
You know.
no, no, no.
Mhm.
I couldn't even guard him.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So Drew could not guard him. So imagine
Yeah.
him guarding a D2, D1, pro. So
Yeah.
again, like there's like levels of basketball, but like even like I'm proud to say like I didn't really play basketball. I never played like recreational or like club basketball or anything until I got to college, right? With like playing with
Mhm.
Drew and girls. And it was really fun for me. But even then, like I'm not that good. I can't say
Mhm.
like
I'm in the
they're
same
gonna
exact
pick
boat.
me one out of all the kids. Like Drew's gonna go number 1 or 2 within, when we're picking
Well,
teams. But like yeah, I mean, basketball is like it's such an underrated quick game. I like the word quick Drew used. It's a lot of running. Obviously in the pros and college are
Mhm.
subs, but there's so much running. You're going back and forth. You have to twist and turn, pick, jump. But jumping is
Yeah.
actually that's like such a tiring activity. That's why people
yeah.
do it, in the workouts. But it
Well, that's
definitely makes it
also,
harder when you're short too.
I mean, you brought up a great point, like the 40 minutes, and like sometimes you see like LeBron. I mean, he might not be doing this now, but in the finals, he usually played 40 straight minutes, and then you have to
Hmm.
play the next day. Like,
I have a cool
just like,
stat.
yeah,
So in 2016, uh, um, they recorded 10 players, like some top 10 players of the 2016 season. They on average ran 2.5 miles per game. And the person who led the
Yeah.
league with most miles run per game was Jimmy Butler with 2.7.
oh, wow.
And again, most of basketball is sprinting. You're not
Mhm.
jogging a mile in 6 minutes. You're sprinting or hustling. So I think that says a lot,
Yeah,
about
especially when you're
basketball.
tired and you have to shoot a basketball. I mean, that just takes.
Yeah, that's the other thing, right? Because when we're playing for fun, like, yeah, maybe I'm not that tired, so shooting's easy. But if you run a mile sprinting, then you're trying to shoot a ball. Okay, that's the whole different story, right?
Yeah.
So,
And I'm sure like if you so Drew, did you go to Roosevelt?
Yeah.
So then did you play did you play varsity at Roosevelt?
No, I was actually on the practice squad, but
Okay.
contributor
So like
nevertheless.
I'm saying, well, but then so then you got to like watch like Roosevelt probably get destroyed by like Garfield live.
Oh yeah,
Like that's
you
like
know,
that's like one of
yeah,
those things. Like when you see that, that's when you're really like, geez. Like I think because like yeah, I guess that's when you never really think of it like a hard sport to play. But then when you see someone who's like really good at basketball, it's like cooler than like anything else.
yeah,
Like it's cooler than watching a guy hit a baseball like 400 feet or like watching like a beast football player. I don't know, but like
yeah,
then you see a
Drew.
guy who just like can't miss and just like drops kids just like in basketball, like insane.
Drew, you should tell Willie about some of the players you've watched play against the Roosevelt basketball.
yeah, yes. Okay, so I think it was my freshman year. This is when we were still playing like Bothell and stuff like that. I got to
Mm-hmm.
see Zach Levine play, and he just the amount of like, okay, this is we have a great team, and then just seeing this like
Yeah.
phenomenal player and like the athlete he is, just like
Yeah.
dunking, and it's just so easy. Like you said, for baseball, they make it so easy, but like I don't know, it just watching him handle the
Yeah.
ball and like dunking and like getting just any shot off he wanted was pretty
Mm-hmm.
amazing. And then my senior year, no, my junior year, I saw Matisse Thibault. Um, and then sorry, I'm going back and forth, but then sophomore
Mm-hmm.
year, we went down in a division. So we were starting to play Rainier Beach, and like all these other great teams. So I saw DeJounte Murray, which I think
Mm-hmm.
is one of my more memorable moments.
Because he played
And
at
just
Roosevelt, right?
so I saw him when I went to beach,
Oh,
and
you
we
went to
had,
beach. Okay.
yeah, so I got to see him. Um, And it's just some of these guys, I think when they're this good, they don't really, I'm not going to say they don't play like the hardest, but I think they have like this switch that they can turn on and off
Yeah.
when they're really, really, really good. And I think I kind of saw that with DeJounte Murray. I saw him when he picked it up, and it just,
Mm-hmm.
the competition was definitely a little bit lower. And I think he knew it too. So he was just like toying with us, and it was great to see.
Did you ever play? Did you ever play the Porters, or is that too
Sorry.
or too recent?
The
Like
what?
MPJ, his little brother.
Yeah, so that would have been a year when we were a freshman in college. So
Hmm.
I didn't actually go see him because I know he played at uh Ballard. He played
So
at
Nathan
Ballard,
Hale.
right?
He played at Hale. He played at
He
Hale.
played at Hale, right. He played at Hale with Kevin Porter too.
Hmm.
That was a year
Brandon Roy, head
after us
coach.
though. Brandon Roy, yeah. Man, I love Brandon Roy.
Yeah, isn't that crazy
My
to
God.
think like not our rival, but like, I mean, really, you would have probably gone to Roosevelt too, but like, such a close school, Hale, where we see, some of our
Yeah.
Eckstein friends and Brian friends and, you know, people from our area go to Nathan Hale. Crazy to think that Michael Porter Jr., I mean, he's in the
Yeah.
NBA right
Yeah,
now.
just walking around. I just can't
And
imagine him just like walking around the halls. Cause like he
yeah,
just seems like a kid who would have been at like like one of these like Montverde, like big Catholic schools.
yeah,
He's just like, nope, just Seattle public school, just walking down the
yeah.
hall. Like there's 6'10" Michael Porter Jr. Yeah, but my sister went to Garfield with Tony Roten.
Okay, yep,
So
I
that
Oh,
was
remember,
like
yeah.
when he was like
So
a top 10 recruit before he tore his ACL the year before he went to UW.
I do remember Tony. I have fond memories of Tony Roten, especially being a Husky fan and watching him miss those 2 free throws. But that's for another day. So Jamal Crawford does this pro-am thing in Seattle, and he brings
Hmm.
all the talent kind of in. So I was able to watch some of those other pro amateurs, but I think I went to one when Kevin Durant went. And I mean, just seeing these guys, because there isn't any basketball now, but in a setting that's like pro amateur
Hmm.
is also pretty fun to see. So a cool thing that Jamal Crawford puts on each summer. Clearly, that won't happen this summer, but
Yeah.
also
Yeah, I
just
think
like something to go out for.
kind of like what you're kind of saying too. Like when you see it, like it's kind of crazy. It's like it's kind of funny, like slight flex. When my high school team was #1 in the state until we lost in the finals to two different guys who went to Penn State. You guys who probably don't know, but then um, so the semifinals we played junior Lonnie Walker.
ooh,
So this is
Oh
like
wow!
yeah. So he was like a top 15 recruit, and he's already going to Miami for his like in his junior year. Then I think senior year they won the state title, and he was just like unstoppable. But like he was already a huge deal, and he was averaging like 30 points a game, and we held him to 6 points, like because we
wow.
had like our team was just like that good. So I was it was like it was one of those things where like it's kind of cool to say like one day you can be like yeah Lonnie Walker yeah well, we held him 6 points, but to go along with like what you're saying like I never got to see him turn it on because like our team was just so good at
Yeah, that's
defense
true.
that like because our coach was like so good that he would just like scheme up defensively to like guard him. So yeah, he only and I think like two of them or maybe like four of them were free throws. But the one like that where you're saying like you see it, and you kind of like when you said KD, it was like when I was saying like the first NBA game that I went to in years was 3 years ago against LeBron in Cleveland.
Hmm.
Giannis, like just watching Giannis, like LeBron was cool and all, but like just watching Giannis was that moment where I was like seeing him live compared to just seeing it on TV. You see it and you're just like, whoa,
Yeah,
because you can see the whole court. You're sitting like upper deck and you just see him run from one side to the other in like 3 seconds, take one dribble. It makes no sense. Like that's one of those ones where it's like, whoa, like yeah, he's really good at basketball. That
Mhm.
seems hard to do.
Before we end the segment, I just want to talk about one more sport we haven't talked about yet: football. I've never
yes.
played football. I
Mm,
don't know if you guys have, but what are your takes on just kind of all the interworkings of football and what makes it hard, what makes it easy, or whatever you guys might think?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's kind of similar to rugby in the sense. Well, not really, but there's the physicality in there. Um, and I do think. I mean, I haven't played it, but I played a lot of Madden, so I'm definitely qualified. Um, just like the amount of knowledge you have to have for everything when it comes to like what play is going to be ran, and then you have like the offensive line, like the crowd's going crazy. And I know going to some Husky games when it can get really loud, you can't hear anything. You like the offensive lines are just basically doing off of instincts, and the fact that like if you go a little bit early, that's a false start, and that's 5 yards. I mean, some of that, just that little concept is what makes it kind of difficult, you know?
I think football is like a very fine line where it gets like to be insane. Because like when I just like think of football, it's just like from my experience in high school, like I said, my basketball team was unreal, but then like our football team was just like the basketball team. Like the point, like one of like our small forward was the quarterback,
Mm-hmm.
and then like he had a twin brother who was like, you know, shooting guard, small forward. He was a wide receiver. Our point guard was he played a little bit of quarterback, but then like wide receiver, and then he also played like corner. It's like you know, like I feel like it's like if you're a great athlete, like football can just like come easy like that. But then watching like Hard Knocks or listening to like Mina Kimes or there's like Sean McVay or just someone like break it down, like especially like with Hard Knocks.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see like all the team, like all the guys like in the room and stuff like that, and watching film, and like you kind of see like there's like a fine barrier where football goes from being like, oh, you're really big and you're athletic, play football, or like, oh, you're a little guy and you're fast, you should be our running back on our football team. Because like my roommate played offensive line in high school, and he didn't play football growing up. He just started playing football. I think he said like junior year of high school, and he was getting offers the senior year to play like D2. So like, and like he was a left tackle because he was just like such a big guy that they were like, yeah, we'll play football. He's like, all right. And so like what you're saying, like offensive line, but then like the NFL offensive line in college where like year and like it's just, like that's where like there's like I think it's college. I think high school is like different, but then like college football players, there's definitely a level of respect for like the amount of film that they have to watch, and like I mean like just like think about like I don't know how like think about it too for like the coaches. I don't know how there's not more 12 men on the field penalties. Like you watch like the coaches, like each coach like just yelling at his guys coming on and off. They all have the headsets and like all the play calls, and just something I've never understood is when like they have the play cards on the sideline, and it'll be like
Chip Kelly-esque.
Yeah, it'll be like Bart Simpson, Doritos, and then like rival team's logo, and then like Nike logo, and then it's like that means that they're running. You know, like that means each guy like has like a thing like for that. And I heard a little bit of a breakdown on those and like how those work, and like each one's usually like a certain group. So like the offensive linemen are like the top left corner, the wide receivers are bottom. But it's like, how does that make any sense that just like that's just a play call? Like, so that's where it really starts. I think football gets like crazy, but I just feel like there's just like stuff that's just like a lot harder. Like strategy for football, a million times. There's no strategy really for baseball compared to football. But I don't know.
With like the whole card thing, you kind of can look back and like look at like the Oregon days when they were super quick, and there were some teams that like kind of faked an injury to like catch their breath. So like that it can really get exhausting, especially if you don't have that game clock and you're running it really fast.
I wanted to, Willie and Drew's conversation reminded me of how football is like, it takes a lot of athleticism, instincts, a lot of preparation, right? I think a lot of people have started to realize, how much preparation that goes into it. But at the same time, a lot of it relies on the coach, like football could not be played without 10, 20 coaches. So for our UPS, one of our volunteering jobs was to work the sidelines for the home football games and do the chains or the, the down marker or be ball boys. So it's really cool because I got to be on the sidelines, in front of the coaches and players. And then I got to listen to what they do. And, they have all these cool names, but there's, specific coaches for special teams, defense, like a defensive hybrid, whatever, wide receiver, So, football is like, I think it's hard in that aspect because there's so much organization that's required in the different coaches. But compared as far as the players, maybe not as difficult as, baseball or I don't know, soccer or rugby, but still you need to get athletic. You need to have good instincts and you need to put in the preparation and work. Like you said about the O-line, we hear stories about people, they didn't start playing football until, their football coach in high school told them to come join them or, whatever. But we also
Yeah.
see that in some sports like basketball, right? Like Joel Embiid, like I think he didn't play basketball until like he was in his I don't know 17, and I
Yeah.
don't know. I think I've heard stories about that. So I mean, definitely we can definitely see that. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you still have to put in a lot of respect for the football players. Like, yeah, you can't
Yeah.
move until
Yeah.
ball's hiked. Like what? Or like you need to know when to do a toe drag while you're looking at the ball.
Oh yeah.
You know,
That's,
like it's just awareness and instinct. It's crazy
like
to think.
Tyler Lockett's catch or like
Yeah,
Antonio
exactly.
Holmes in the Super Bowl. Like, yeah, that makes no sense.
Yeah.
And like, I think but like, I got curious too. So like now I'm like looking it up. So this is on the Seahawks like coaching staff. So you have executive vice president of football operations / head coach, obviously Pete Carroll. But then you have pass game coordinator, run game coordinator, defensive passing game coordinator, defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, special teams coordinator, wide receiver. Then there's position coaches. There's wide receivers, quarterbacks, defensive assistant / linebackers, quality control of defense, strength and conditioning assistant, linebackers, assistant head coach / defensive line, wide receivers, assistant special teams, just offensive assistant, senior offensive assistant, defensive line, and defensive assistant, head strength and conditioning, tight ends, running backs, there's like 20 strength and conditioning coaches. And then like, yeah, offensive line, Mike Solari, and then like secondary and nickel specialist. Like that's actually pretty funny. It's just like a backup secondary coach whose specialty is just like figuring out like the nickel corner.
Right.
It's like, yeah, like I don't even know what the count on that is. That's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
But that's
14,
another
15,
thing
16,
to worry
17.
about. We talked about again, and I keep going back to our last episode.
30. That's 30 coaches. 30
quarantine,
coaches.
COVID. Like, how are NFL teams going to deal with?
Oh, it's not going to work.
Like 30 coaches plus players. You know, that's that's. I don't want to get into it, but
that's
just
different
something
discussion.
to consider, right?
But
yeah.
Crazy.
I do think
yeah.
so. You did bring up a good point, and I kind of want to say one more thing about this is how some players start late. You know, like Joel Embiid and maybe like an offensive lineman, and maybe in baseball, some guy wanted to change positions and is doing this late. I just want to bring this back one more time to like some of these other sports that kind of would make it harder for barriers of entry, like maybe hockey. You would need to know that first, so maybe at a young age you get that down. And then for gymnastics, like just like you have to start that early, so you don't really see a 25-year-old start that. So I don't know, each sport has a different thing to make it hard, and that is why they get paid so much. I mean, really looking into it, that is why these players get paid what they get paid. Thanks for chatting with us as always. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week.